Okay, so the next thing I had to do was create an outfit. I used one of my 1/12 dolls as a template, and then I created my own pattern. I selected some burgundy fabric that I had in my stash because that was one of the colors that they had in their color scheme. Then I took the one piece I cut out and laid it down on another piece of fabric and cut out the back of the top. Here I am cutting little scores into the curved part of the front of the top. I'm going to fold this over and glue it and make a hem. And here I am using my clover iron, which is really, really hot, but it's really tiny. I love how it works in 1/12 scale. It's really taking shape. Next, I have to hem the bottom. Now again, I am using my Gorilla Wood Glue for this, and I am so much happier using it. I toyed with the idea of putting on sleeves, but I really didn't like how it looked with the top, so I left them off. Because their theme was burgundy, black, and gold, I thought a little bunka trim around the edge on the seams would look really, really nice. So I found some black bunka in my stash and I glued it on. I used a pin to put the glue on because I wanted the smallest, tiniest line of glue. Next, I wanted to add some jewelry. I had this chain in my stash, and then if you see here, that piece with the wider loops, that's the part that you hook the chain to. If you've ever worn a necklace, you know what I'm talking about. I am not describing it well. But what I wanted to do is take the chain as a necklace and the wider loops as earrings. So here I am prying them apart and reforming them to make little hoop earrings. And now I'm gluing them on. I wanted the necklace to look like it was just sort of thrown into the suitcase to see how it would look with the top. So I didn't want it perfectly placed, if that makes sense. And now I'm trying it out in the suitcase. Next, I thought I'd add a cute little detail. I shrunk down the logo of our region and printed it out and tried in my best effort to use this hole punch to make it easier on me, but it didn't quite work. It wasn't terrible, but I still ended up cutting it out in the end. And here it is. I thought I'd make like a little badge. So I took the same hole punch and I punched out some of my black cardstock and I glued the little badge to it. And now I'm attaching it to the inside of the suitcase by the pouch I created in the back. Next, the scariest part is to glue the entire back of the top and glue it into the suitcase. It is a little bit daunting, but I figured, you know what? You just gotta go for it. I wanted it to look like it was spilling out of the suitcase. Like she got to competition, she opened her suitcase, she was looking at her outfit, and then it was sort of hanging over the edge. So I made sure I glued everything down, including the part that goes over the front, which unfortunately covered my little handle, but I like it anyway. And then I thought I'd like to add some details. So what would you bring to a singing competition weekend? How about some tea? So I found an image online and I made a box of tea. I'm gluing the top of the tee box to a plain piece of paper and letting it sit just so that it has the backing, letting the glue dry while I turn my attention to making a bag of cough drops. They're honey lemon, of course, which is really, really good for singers. Now that the glue is dry on my tee box, I'm cutting it out so I can glue it into the suitcase. Somehow, I don't know how, but it fit absolutely perfectly right next to the top and in the corner. It just slid right in, and I was so excited. I gave it a double thumbs up. Next, I thought, okay, well, what else would she have? How about some toothpaste and a toothbrush? So I glued my tea box in, and then I added the toothpaste and toothbrush. And finally, I added the cough drops. Now, I didn't show it before, but I did glue down the sheet music. So now everything is glued down, everything is attached, and I am done. So that's how it all came together. I am so super thrilled with how it came out. I've never done anything like that before. I've never done a commission before, and I've never just created something out of my head, for lack of a better term. So I'm really thrilled with how it came out. The person that commissioned me to do it was also really, really pleased with how it came out. And the most important thing is that the person who it was given to was so super thrilled. She just, when she found out that it was me, my quartet was walking around and singing in what we call the hospitality rooms. And when we got to her chorus, she just gave me the biggest hug, and she was thrilled and she was gushing. And it just made me feel so great that she enjoyed it so much. Thank you very much for hanging out with me and watching how I made this whole thing come together. And be sure to like and subscribe. And in my next couple of videos, my next video is going to be about finishing off that book nook that my husband gave me for my birthday. And then after that, we're getting back to the garden room box. So be sure to hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of the videos. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.